When Transcend was founded in 2013, there were 4 members. There were 4 regular members, and now, on a good week, we average 30 plus members in one meeting. So, the purpose of this presentation is for us to basically explain, hey, this is how we went from there to here in the span of 3 years.
All right, so now we're going to start introducing the officers that we have here. So my name is Ryan Kessinger. I am the president. I use he, him, and they, them pronouns. And I'm also going to include, I identify as transmasculine, and my degree, I'm getting Bachelor of Science. I'm getting Applied Sociology with a minor in Psychology.
Hi, my name is Bo Salinas. I'm a gender, so I use the gender-neutral pronouns of they, them. I am about to graduate in December with a bachelor's of psychology, oh gosh, and a minor in forensic psychology.
What's your position?
Oh, Vice President of Management.
All right, my name is Emerson Philippa. Most people call me Philippa, some call me Flip. Not sure why. I am a trans guy, so I use he, him pronouns. I am going to graduate this coming May with a Bachelor of Science in Microbiology. That's all very exciting stuff.
What's your position?
And my position is the Vice President of Planning. We will get to what that entails later on in the presentation.
Our Vice President of Community could not be here with us for this weekend and for this summit because they had family situations they had to deal with out of state. But they are Oceana Hart, and they are the Vice President of Community. They are agender, so they use they, them pronouns. And I am Emily Bogue. I am a transgender woman, so I use she, her pronouns. I am the Vice President of Organization. Yes, got that, remembered that. And I am working towards a degree in communication studies with a minor in social work.
And I'm Alex Oviedo. I am the Sergeant at Arms, and I am a man of trans experience. I use he, him pronouns. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm majoring in biochemistry with a minor in biology.
Thank you. All right, and so to start off with our presentation about how we first started our expansion of our organization, one of our key things to start off with is visibility, because visibility has a huge impact on how you're represented on a campus and just being able to bring in members and supporters. And so one of our first steps was attending student organizations. So we went to the Hispanic student welcome, the veteran student welcome, the Black student welcome. And all these happen at the beginning of the semester. Sometimes they begin at both of fall and spring, but most likely during the fall semester. And so we attend these meetings, we have a little booth, we're there, we're present. We may not get a lot of attention and stuff, but we are there to represent ourselves, and so people know we're here. We also go to another event called Welcome to the Family, and this is for the LGBTQIA organizations on our campus. And so they call it a giant family welcome, and so pretty much all of us are there. All the queer and trans students on campus are welcome during the beginning of the fall semester, and that's where we get our most representation to get to tell and share who we are and what we represent. So if we continue, we also have social media because it's 2016, you got to use social media. And so we have our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, and we also use our Texas State University website page to our advantage. And so we market a lot of where our meetings are, what time they are, what events and social events we have going on, what things that we're doing with collaborating with other groups, who we're helping out around campus. And of course, Facebook, just got to keep people updated. And a lot of photos of people who approve to be in photos. Some of the things that we've done outside of campus and off of campus include going to the Bobcat Pride had a coming out day on our campus. We had a coming out week. And so we partnered with another organization that's an LGBTQIA organization on our campus, and we partnered with them and had our coming out week. And so we tabled with them in our quad. We went to different family. There's events all week long. No, you're good. Another things that we have is We also, San Marcos is coming up in September, where will be the third Pride in San Marcos. And we attended the last year, we marched in the parade as a group all together with the other LGBT organizations. We go to lavender graduation, which is special graduation just for the queer and trans community at Texas State, and so we participate in that. And a Bobcat Ball, which is an event that another organization hosts. And the last thing is there's an amazing organization in the San Marcos area called Bobcat Pride Scholarship Fund. It's actually funded us to be here this year and pay for our trip and our hotel and things like that. And so we go to their events, and one of the charity events that they have, not charity, a fundraising event, is called Drag Out Funny, where it's amazing. It has drag queens, drag kings, burlesque dancers, lots of performance, and they earn a lot of their money that way. And so that organization has helped us out a lot.
And if I may just add on something, when this organization first started, we, as Emily mentioned, we were very small, right? Very, very tiny organization. And we did not really broadcast our presence very much. There wasn't a page that you could go and just say, okay, we're in this building, this room, this time. We collectively as a group made a decision that we wanted to be visible because it was very hard for you, if you were just a budding trans person like I was, you kind of had to hear about it, and then you kind of had to ask about it. It was a very complicated process at the time, and so that was one major step towards increasing our presence on campus.
But at the same time, not everything gets easier when you increase your visibility. For example, if you say, we went to the Black student welcome, and we had a table at that event saying, hey, we are the transgender organization on campus, and we want you to come hang out with us because we're cool. And if you yourself are trans, then this is a good place for you to find community. And although I love him very, very dearly, Ryan Kessinger, the man working the table, he didn't quite fit in with very many people at the Black student welcome. So there's a problem between where the message that we were trying to send wasn't the message they were receiving, where we were saying, hey, we're a welcoming group and you should come hang out with us, and they were saying, hey, who is this guy trying to get me to come out and be trans? Because another problem is that we weren't taking into account cultural differences, where if you are a Black trans person growing up, you're the social pressures that you have on you are going to be way, way different than the pressures on a white trans person growing up. And we weren't taking that into account, and we need to do a better job of thinking about, okay, how are we going to do that? How are we going to manage that? How are we going to reach out to these people?
So, growing from 4 people to possibly almost 30 in a span of a year, we had difficulties structuring our meetings for that many people. And some stuff that we changed is we had to meet every week. This is because we had to plan ahead of time, we had to prepare. A lot of the stuff we wanted to do, we got the ideas from our students instead. Because, we're a lot of people, but we can only think of so many things. So a lot of the meetings that we structure around is stuff that they need, we're catering it to them. Another thing we do is we bring speakers in who have more knowledge about that topic than we do. So we brought a lawyer, an attorney, we have advisors, Office of Disability, Student Diversity and Inclusion. A lot of people like that because we know that we are a lot of people, but we don't have everything. And we try to make it more of a guiding discussion rather than we just talk to them and they have experiences that we can learn from too.
Is this on? Okay, sorry, I didn't know if they turned it off. So right now on this, we're actually going to hand out our itineraries, and so usually early in the week or at least 2 weeks in advance, the officers will meet up and talk about the meeting that we're going to have. And so this is an example of the itinerary that we draw together. And I believe on this particular day, we were talking about disabilities and how that intersects with your trans identity and how that both roles affect who you are in your life and how wherever you go, you bring both those identities into a space. And so this is just a brief example of how we're structuring it.
We're also including some of the worksheets, basically resource lists that we also give our students, our members, basically when the semester starts, just so that they're informed. We also have times where we talk about it in detail, just to make sure that the point gets across. So for example, the medical part of it, we talk about doctors that maybe some of the officers or members have already been to in order to help other students know more about them.
So we handed out a Transcend meeting example. This is typically how we structure our meetings. We do introductions, names, pronouns, highs, and lows. We put the highs and lows in there for a reason. Even though we grow larger every time, we still want to incorporate something that is more meaningful, like on an individual basis. So this gives us the opportunity, and also the members an opportunity to say, you know, this happened to me, this really sucked, or this was a really great thing that happened to me this week, and we all celebrate it, or we all can relate to it sometimes. The specific one that we handed out was the topic of disabilities, which we brought in a speaker, Clint Michael Renault from the Office of Disability Services. This is really important because as younger people who aren't in positions of what is considered power as a student, although we do encourage our students to say that yes, you do have a lot of power, there's some stuff that we just can't teach in the same way that maybe someone in administration can. They have the connections that we don't, and to allow them that connection with someone in administration really makes a difference. And yeah, that's about it for the meeting one.
So if you switch over to, we have the packet, I guess you would call it a couple pages long, that's the Transcend resources. Alex earlier was explaining the medical section that we have on there. And when we did this packet, we originally had it divided in 3 different days. And so each day we talked about a different section. So what involves being in a social transition, a medical transition, and the legal transition, because not everyone would take every step and would want to represent that. And so if you can just look and glance over on the social transition, it's pretty much self-explanatory, but these are the resources that we are able to tell our students about and share with them and show that there are these options out there and we can help them find these resources.
So Ryan here talked a little bit about socially transitioning. Alex mentioned some stuff about medically transitioning. And actually, one of our last meetings before the end of the semester, we invited local retired lawyer, Claire Bowe, to come and speak with us. She has experience not only as a lawyer, right, but as a trans person who's gone through a lot of the things that we are going to have to go through, right? So she's coming from a place of expertise, and we are there to be in a place of learning. So what we did on this particular section for legal transition, it's not a whole lot, right? This isn't really a step-by-step guide. It does have a little bit in the way of resources, but honestly, you had to be there. You just don't get the same experience otherwise. But we've had some members. I know I myself just recently went through a legal transition. And that was exciting and scary and all at once. So we want to make sure that every resource that we can offer to our membership is a resource that we do offer to our membership. That's a major, major thing for us.
All right, so with navigating a large group, we did have to create new officer positions because we wanted to make sure that as much of us under the trans umbrella basically were represented. So we of course added new officers. So for example, Sergeant at Arms is my position, and I basically just help keep the group safe, make sure that everybody's respecting each other, and keeping it a safe space. Like that's my job. So if somebody were to offend somebody else, I would of course like wait till like the meeting is over and go talk to that person and just make sure that this doesn't happen again, because they need, like, in order to create a safe space, you need to respect each other. That's just a simple rule, right?
My position is Vice President of Management. That's basically the right hand to the President, Mr. Ryan over there. And I also do the social media.
My position is the Vice President of Organization, and basically I take notes of the meetings and I make sure that everyone who was assigned a job in our meetings does that job, and they remember what they're supposed to do. And you might be thinking to yourself, doesn't that sound like something a secretary would do? Why are you a vice president then? And when I took the job, my position originally was secretary, but then as a group, as officers, we looked around and we saw that the one woman in leadership was the secretary, and we all kind of had a moment where we were like, huh, you know, that might not be okay. So, Vice President of Organization.
All right, and then my position is the Vice President of Planning. That means that I plan things, right? I plan all sorts of things. I've got a slide coming up, and you'll see a variety of the options that we've given students for attending. Now, I don't single-handedly plan a lot of the bigger stuff, right? That is a joint effort of our executive board, our two advisors who you may have met earlier, Jessica and Brandon, right? And it's going to be a huge collaboration of people all across campus, people in the community, sometimes people from outside of the community, but a lot of what I do is going to be a little bit more oriented towards the group, right? Specifically the group.
And I also wanted to add for one of the officers that's not attending what their position is. So they are Vice President of Community, and so they're responsible for outreach towards our community. So talking with other organizations, talking with community members, setting up service events that we can attend to. And so that's their position. And I'm just president.
So like how Bo mentioned earlier, we do allow our members to basically say their highs and lows. And we just want to create a more personal space, which is why we keep this. We also, at some point, started doing rules for how we would maintain integrity in our group. And this was just because we just wanted to make sure that everybody just, respected each other. I keep saying that, but that's like a big thing about this, is like you gotta respect each other. So yeah, that's basically it.
Okay, so with the larger group, there does come a few problems. A huge one is we become cliquey. You walk into the same space, sit next to the same people, and you make friends. That's not a bad thing. We want people to make friends. But the problem with that is you don't get to meet more people. Even though you know their name, you sit near them, you're not getting the full experience of who they are, and that could cause problems. You can make quick judgments about them, and a lot of times the people who are outcasted the most are the people who have what's considered more marginalized identities. Someone with disabilities, someone who's a person of color. One thing personally to me was I noticed someone who was on the autism spectrum was being outcasted in our group. So what I did was I went to go talk to Brandon. I said, I feel like this person isn't being included. And I don't think they quite know it either, though, because they're just one of those people who are really happy all the time. They just love everybody, and I want them to feel included. So right after that, we had the disabilities meeting. We had a respect meeting. We want everyone to feel really comfortable in our group, even if they don't know they're being made fun of for some reason like that. We want people to respect each other. So that's why we had the respect meeting. Other problems is delegating, like how we did just a second ago. We had multiple people hand out all the papers. It's not just the job of one person to do one thing. When I first joined the officers, I noticed that Ryan was doing a lot of the stuff. So I took the initiative to help him, even though he wasn't asking for the help. That's part of our jobs, is to make sure that even if someone's not asking for help, you're giving it, you have to be included in that. And also, time has been a big issue for us, because we tend to talk a lot, we're all pretty good friends. So as far as like another group, structuring your time is really important, but as far as we're going, we're just adding more time to our meetings. Because that's just what we need to do.
Okay. And we've been talking about how a lot of what we do is, or a lot of what we're trying to do and what we need to do better is working with people with other marginalized identities, and not just saying, hey, we're the trans group, we're all here, we're all trans, we're all pretty much the same. And we need to do a better job of realizing that, hey, we're not all the same, other people have different identities, and we need to respect that. But we have done some of that in the past. For example, we have our non-binary appreciation day, where we're basically just like, hey, all of our members who are non-binary and have non-binary identities, we love you, we appreciate you. Tell us about your specific struggles and let us know what we can do better to help you. We also do the same thing for the asexual members of our group, because they are a member of the LGBTQ plus group that often is shunned by the rest and like doesn't get the respect they deserve. So we want to make sure that we do a good job of reaching out to them and making sure that they're taken care of. We could do a better job, but we've done work in the past to accommodate people with physical and mental disabilities, and making sure that we're doing what we can to take care of them, and respecting people with different political affiliations and different religious beliefs. And Ryan is going right now to fetch another handout that we give out at the beginning of the semester, which is a list of identities that people who are not cisgender usually adopt, because a lot of people come to us early on and they kind of feel like they're not. They understand that they're not cis, but they don't understand where exactly they are. They may have heard like a few labels, but they're just like, I don't know other than being like a trans man or a trans woman, but none of those really seem to fit me. So we compiled this list of identities that we give out to say, hey, these are all things, they're all valid, and they might be worth you looking into. And another benefit of this is we give them out and we say, all right, read these even if you are comfortable in your own identity, so that you know to respect these people and you understand what these people are and maybe a little bit about what they're going through.
And if I may, a huge thing there is that a lot of these terms are terms that you might not have ever heard if you haven't been to a trans group before, if you haven't been to an LGBTQIA group before, or if you don't go to Tumblr very often, right? So a little bit of what this list is it's just taking a little bit of the internet and bringing it into the real world, right? Obviously, you can connect with as many people as you want on Tumblr, right? You can learn as many things as you want, but there's not always that information readily available in real life. So we want to bring these terms out. We want to bring attention to them, right? And we want to make sure everyone has access to a word that they can use to identify who they are, or if they don't want to use terms to identify who they are, that's great. We did an activity once where we drew a graph, an XY graph, and we said, if this is gender on a sliding scale, this is sexuality on a sliding scale, where are you? And people, like there were lines that were like sine and cosine and tangential lines, and there were squiggles that were like circles encompassing the entire graph, right? Sometimes a word can't really say who you are, so you gotta kind of just make a funny line on a graph and say that's me, that's me, the best way I can represent it.
Right, exactly.
All right, so coming in, we wanted to create a more cohesive group. Right, we talked about this. It wasn't necessarily as much intermingling as we could wish, especially if you have a structured meeting where you say, at this time we do this, at this time we do this, and that's all well and good. It helps us get out resources to our students, to faculty who may attend, but it isn't necessarily providing the social connection that people are longing for. So what we've done is we've decided to structure some extra meetings. Okay, these are loosely structured, and they're intended to kind of bring community together. A major one that we did was a clothes swap. Everyone brought in some clothes, gently used, right? Kind of like new, if you will. And the idea was bring in a basket full of clothes that don't fit you, that you don't feel good when you wear, that doesn't match how you currently present gender-wise, right? Bring those in and pick some out for yourself, right? Pick out some new-to-you clothes. And that was a massive success, and now we have a small clothing closet that we can use where if someone new comes to our group, and we had this happen recently, right, Brandon?
That's right.
Someone new came into our group, and they didn't have clothes or maybe financial means to buy the clothes that worked with how they wanted to start presenting, and we offered them up to them, right? We offered our resources, what we had, up to them. And that was a huge success. We've also done movie nights. A lot of times we'll just do those in, like, at Ryan's place or something. The one time in recent history I can think of when we actually went to the theater was for Star Wars. But I mean, come on, it was Star Wars. How could you not? We've done game nights, right? Classic games, newer games. We've done bowling. We've gone out to like poetry nights at local coffee houses. We've also done an arts and crafts night, especially after the recent tragedy in Orlando, the Pulse shooting. We all got together and we said, here's some crayons, here's some paint, here's some markers. Draw what you feel, or if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to. If you do want to talk about it, we encourage you to do so. So that was just kind of a nice little way to put out some creativity, to put out some joy and some color into the world.
Going off of what Philippa was saying with creating a more cohesive group and working with the community, so we have a community within ourselves. We also want to expand our community to those that are around us in the San Marcos, Austin, and San Antonio area. And so some of the things that we've done is at Texas State, we've hosted a Transgender Day of Remembrance and a Day of Visibility. And so on both days, so we have one event for each semester, we host events that promote the trans identities and the students that we have and the people in our local community in our areas to the people who don't hear about these things every day. We in this room probably hear about this discussion every single day. This is part of our lives. But outside people don't hear it, and so having these days, even if it's only once a semester, is a big way to make people more aware of who we are and what we represent. We also did, like Philippa was saying, a Pulse Orlando Memorial. So Texas State University partnered with it's through Texas State University. We had a proper memorial that I personally was there. It was during the summer, of course, so when it happened, and so a lot of our students weren't there, but it was a really nice event to show solidarity and support with our groups. And we also went out to a high school in Buda and a middle school in Austin to talk about trans issues and trans identities and how to be more trans inclusive. And lastly, I mentioned earlier the San Marcos Pride Parade and Festival, how we were included in that and marched along with other LGBTQIA organizations.
Just real quick, I want to go over kind of some of the goals, these directions that we want to take our organization towards. Namely, we want to reach out specifically to people of color. Yes, we had someone at Black Student Welcome. It wasn't a huge success, right? We need to show who we are, right? And we need to kind of have roots in the community we want to reach out to, right? And we do have those available to us, and we need to use those, right? So we want to reach out to people of color. We want to continue reaching out more to trans women. Last year, if y'all saw us here, it was me, Alex, and Ryan, and it's a very masculine group, right? So we don't want that to be who we are, right? We don't want the face of it to be, a white guy, even though he's our figurehead. That's not necessarily what we want people to see when they see our executive board, right? So we're going to try and reach out to people We are going to also try and make knowledge about preferred name changes through Texas State more of a reality. Jessica has done amazing work making this kind of a thing, making this available, but not everyone knows about it. For example, I recently got my legal name changed, and so I showed up to Texas State like, oh great, now I can have my name on things. And then last night, Alex was like, what are you talking about, man? You could have done that like weeks ago. Like, why would you wait? You could have had that done like forever ago. So I've been like sending out emails and like, hi, yeah, I'm signing it, and here's my signature, so you know it's me. It was a whole thing, right? We also, obviously, gender neutral bathrooms. Jessica pointed out in the last session that was in here, there are 12 gender neutral bathrooms on our campus, and our campus is huge and it has a lot of people on it, right? So obviously that's just not enough, right? We also want to get hormone replacement therapy and especially things like that available at the student health center, right? Blood testing, right? Whatever you need done, writing letters so that you can get a surgery if you're trying to get that, right? We want to make sure that our health center serves its students, right? Serves all of its students' needs. And we also want to make sure that through housing and residential life, you can go where you want to go, right? You don't have to get stuck in a room, basically, with someone because they're the only other trans person who applied for housing that year, right? I knew some people who were in that exact situation, right? And those individuals, if they had lived in a hall that had floors segregated by gender, they would have had to live on the hall based on their sex assigned at birth, which obviously not okay, right? That's going to other them, that's going to kind of like put them in this position where they're kind of forced out, right? And that's obviously not okay, so we're working with that. So yeah, that's kind of our goals, that's where we want to head to the future. And finally, questions, comments. These are the flags. We got non-binary, trans, and we have
Genderqueer.
Gender.
Genderqueer.
Genderqueer, that's right.